All right, Balia, welcome to Player Input. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, no problem.
So you're one of the people that reached out to me to want to be interviewed because you wanted to speak about favoritism, right? In college and how that kind of is a big thing. But before we get into that, what college do you go to and what year are you?
So I went to the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and I actually just graduated in May.
Oh, okay, awesome. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
so let's just dive right into it. Tell me what specifically you were going through or what you saw other people going through when it came to terms of favoritism.
So there was like favoritism on the team, and then there's like favoritism within the athletic department.
Hmm.
So like on the team, like there's a group of girls that the coach like likes more
Right, of
than
course.
a certain group of girls. So basically what would happen when, the group of girls that were liked by the coach would do anything, there wasn't really any consequences for them.
And was
But
it
what
because of their level or was it more of like a like political thing or more was it more of like a race thing or what do you think it was?
Um, I don't know. It was like more of okay, like their level. I don't know if it was like a personality thing because
Yeah,
it seemed like the girls that I got along with the
yeah.
most, like, were the ones that the coach didn't like.
Uh-huh.
It was weird. Like, it was like a personality thing, I think. I'm not
Okay.
really sure. I don't know.
And your coach, how were the coaches? Were they very like strict or were they good coaches?
Well, my assistant coach was like the my go-to coach.
Yeah.
Like initially they were good coaches, but then like once I started like getting comfortable and being myself more, it was kind of like my personality was kind of clashing with
Okay.
the coach or something like that. As far as like skill level,
Did you
uh,
feel like you improved at all, or did they help you with your tennis? No. Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
normally happens in college.
no, I got worse like
Yeah.
as time went on.
Do you think it was because of the practices and the training, or because they didn't care, or like the
Um,
favoritism, or
it was definitely the practice and training, and then also for me, it was like the mental, like me seeing like I'm working my butt off and still
mm.
not getting chances to play or whatever. So it kind of
What
like
position did you play?
so I played like sometimes I played 4, 5, or 6,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, like there was an instance where I beat someone in practice, and
And
then
they still
like
wouldn't put you in
yeah, they still like benched me or something like that.
because they
Like
like the other person more.
I don't know what it
You
was.
don't even know what it was.
No, I don't know what it was. When I like asked them about it, they were like, "Well, your game was just not as where it was." But my thing was like, if I'm beating somebody and my game's not where it was, that's still like
Showing that you can
that's
win.
still something. Yeah.
And did you ever like reach out to them and be like, "Hey, I want to play on the team more. Can you like help tell me what I need to improve and maybe we can work on it together?"
Yeah, I was going in practicing extra, like I was working like really hard trying to get, trying to prove myself. And then after I kept doing that and still nothing was happening for me, I kind of just was like, all right, let me focus on school then since, my efforts aren't being
You kind of
appreciated.
lost your motivation in tennis.
Yeah, like I mean, I didn't know what else to do
Yeah.
as far as so I was just like, all right.
Did you ever think about transferring because of tennis, or were you just
Um,
you just decided to put school as a priority instead?
yeah, I definitely thought about transferring like
But
after my freshman year, but um it was kind of like I need to stick it out.
yeah,
It was kind of like a mental thing, like I need to stick it out and just prove myself and work harder. But that's not always the case, especially if a coach makes up his mind about you. Like
yeah.
nothing's really gonna change that.
Right. Yeah, and like okay, so when did you feel as though favoritism was a big part of the team?
So my freshman year, I came in like there was nothing I sensed wrong,
Hmm.
but I did notice that one girl kept getting picked on. And then
Hmm.
kind of after that girl left, it was like me getting picked on. Like
Yeah.
after she left, I was the one getting picked on.
By the
So
staff or by
after,
the team?
huh?
By the staff or by the team?
No, by like the coaches.
Oh, wow, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So like any little thing she would do, like if she was frustrated or anything, they'd be like, "Oh, she has such a bad attitude. She's
Mm.
ruining the chemistry on the team." When I know from what I saw, everybody on the team liked her.
Hmm.
She was one of everyone's favorite one of everyone's favorite people. So it definitely was something he had personally against her, I think. Because
And uh
like when she was asked to leave the team, like everybody was like, she didn't do anything.
right.
Like she hardly did anything. Like everybody gets frustrated.
Yeah.
Everybody gets, an attitude every once in a while. And what really showed me the favoritism was like one of the girls who was a favorite, she like would bang her racket, like she would talk to us like crazy and just have an attitude with her teammates, and she never got that
The
criticism.
consequences. Yeah.
Right, yeah, like not nearly as bad as the rest of us.
So it
Yeah.
wasn't just you feeling that favoritism. It was other girls also feeling.
Yeah.
And can I ask you, was it girls of the same race as you, or was it just
No,
different people?
I was like the only black person on the
Oh
team
yeah.
too.
So that's
Like
strange.
there was an Indian girl on the team and there was an Asian girl after my sophomore year. But
Hmm.
yeah, I was the only black person on the team. So
So it
I
wasn't
don't
just
I don't it
directed
wasn't
towards you.
just racial. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
just racial. It was like personality, I think. And just
Well, were there any like anyone in the top four positions that would get picked on, or was it like strictly like the players four, five, and six, or did anyone high get picked on?
um like every once in a while, like, one of my friends who was in the top four, like the coaches would talk to her and be like, you need to do this and this and this.
Hmm.
But I don't feel like it was the same as what me and some other people were getting.
So it was
I can't
you,
speak on that because I don't
right?
know for sure, but just from what I saw.
So you think it's strictly personality traits were clashing heads with the coaches?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
And so were you able to play all 4 years?
No, I was asked to leave.
What do you
My
mean by asked to leave?
Okay, I basically got kicked off the team.
So they're like, sorry, you're not good enough for the team.
It wasn't even that I wasn't good enough. It was that there was like instances where, girls would try to sabotage me,
Of course.
and they like, for example, like the girls went to the coach and told him they didn't think I should play in one of
Wow.
our matches.
Yeah.
So then he took that into consideration, but then it caused like a whole big thing amongst the team. So then we're all divided because a couple of people felt they had the power to say she doesn't deserve to play. So then after that happened, I was like, I kept to myself. Like I
Of course.
wasn't trying to mess with anybody, or because I felt like that's something that should have been like punishable. Like
Right.
that's something that should have had consequences, and it didn't have consequences.
Yeah, it should have been like don't tattletale or be more of a team.
Right.
But even for the coach to take that into consideration shows what kind of coach it is.
Right.
To
Right.
hear from a
And
kid, not a kid, but I mean, you're adults at that point, but a
right.
much younger student. I mean, a student
Yeah.
cannot really decide what you do.
Right. And when he talked to me about making the change in the lineup, he made it seem like he thought of it. But
Right.
then another one of my teammates told me that no, these girls actually went and told him that you shouldn't play.
Hmm.
So then I was like, oh, okay.
So
So then
when
I started,
so when they told you to leave the team, did they automatically have another replacement to come by, or did they just deal with fewer players on the team?
no, yeah. So when I got kicked off, there was only 9 of us left.
And when you get kicked off, I mean, obviously you still stayed in school because you graduated. They don't take away your scholarship, do they?
Well, I kind of fought the issue, so I was able to keep my scholarship because honestly, there was no like solid evidence for him to kick me off the team. Like I didn't break any rules. It
Right.
was kind of like he just didn't want me on the team anymore. So,
But technically, people that do get kicked off the team lose their scholarship.
yeah, but you have an opportunity to appeal that decision.
Oh
So that's
wow.
what I did. Yeah.
And do you know if he had done that for years in the coming, or was it just, you know what I mean?
Well, I know he did that to a girl my freshman year, but
Okay,
she
so it
didn't.
was a common thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was just that was like the second time that happened, but yeah, it was kind of like the same situation. Like she didn't really do anything, like I didn't really do anything. Like
Yeah,
it was a couple of behavioral things, but it was like I felt a certain type of way. I felt the team was treating me a certain type of way. So in response to that, I started acting a certain type of way
of course, yeah,
because
because
of
you
how I was
felt
being treated.
attacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what year did you get kicked off?
Um, it was my junior year, so it was like,
Oh, so you're already kind of finishing.
yeah, but it was like the fall season of junior year.
Right. And so
Yeah.
you hadn't played tennis since then. After that, I meant after that. Like you didn't
I
get to
mean,
practice with the team, or like
no,
did you
no.
play on your own?
I played on my own for a while
Yeah,
because I didn't really want people to know that I wasn't on the team
of
anymore.
course.
But yeah,
Hmm. And
yeah.
has did your coach ever have any like past history of having problems with teammates, or like did he ever be accused of anything, or
Well, like a couple of girls told me like there's certain things that he just kind of doesn't understand about girls, which I
yeah,
don't understand how you're a coach and um, coaching women and you don't get women's issues.
yeah.
Like, but it was never anything that were obvious red flags for me. But
Hmm.
you
That's so
get to
strange.
know.
I never heard of anyone getting kicked off a team. Well, I'm glad you got to keep your scholarship. I mean, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And
It was
so,
like a big thing too. Like
yeah,
I had to go talk to people and prove that that's not it was two sides to the story.
of course,
Like
always.
I had proof that things weren't just what he was saying.
And so you kind of stayed and stuck through just to kind of show, I guess, the coach that you were gonna stay there and finish what you started.
Yeah, I mean, they were it was like it was my junior year and they were saying, well, you have a strong case,
Hmm.
so we're not going to take your scholarship away
Well, that's good.
because we feel like maybe there is more to this.
Hmm.
So
Well,
they
I'm
just
glad that they took your side, because it's really easy to go towards the elder and
Yeah,
the
and
athletic department.
actually, the only thing that saved me was earlier in the year, I kept talking to like the higher ups about what was going on. That's the only
Okay.
thing that saved me
So that
because they
you
had
they didn't think
documentation
you made it
of me.
up or anything.
Yeah, they had documentation of me
Uh-huh.
talking to people about the issues.
Well, that's good. Thank God you did that, because had you waited, I bet you it wouldn't have worked out.
Right. Yeah.
But besides the fact of the tennis, how did school go? What'd you major in?
So I majored in sports media and communications. It's basically
Nice.
sports journalism.
Uh-huh.
School was good. The university it's very good. Like they do everything they can to help the athletes and everything. So I was happy with that aspect.
That's good. At least it turned out into something positive. And what are you
Yeah.
planning? Obviously now with the pandemic, you can't do anything. But what are you planning to do once everything like subsides?
So I'm looking for jobs right now, but
Yeah, and what specific, like what can you reach out to do? Commentating, right? You can do.
yeah, I could do commentating. I kind of want to have my a talk show
That's a good idea.
kind
Uh-huh.
of thing. Yeah. Or just like a sideline interviewer.
Yeah, you could do that on YouTube, like me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Um, what else? No, I mean, it's just crazy to me that you got kicked off a team. I mean, who? Why would like? I don't understand. I mean,
It's a
didn't
whole
he?
story. Like it's a whole story. Like it's a long
Well,
story.
give me a summary. Give me a summary of like a
Okay.
long story.
So so when the girls had told the coach that I didn't deserve to play,
Hmm.
that was like the end of my sophomore season, and it was like at the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
So after that, like there was a big divide between the team. Like we just like everybody was sick of those girls. Like
Hmm.
it was crazy. And so after that, the summer came around. I was practicing over the summer, and the girls were around, and I was just like, friendly but keeping my distance
Hmm.
because I know we have to be teammates and whatnot. But my summer the summer going into my junior year, like I was always really sick and I gained a bunch of weight and everything was just going downhill. So when the season started, we had a new coach. Our assistant coach left, so we had
Okay.
to get another assistant coach. So everybody was like, yeah, we need to be unified. We need to come together as a team, which I knew that already. Like, you
Yeah.
guys are the ones who didn't practice that.
Right.
So there was one instance where one of the girls called a meeting just
Hmm.
randomly. And she was like, can the whole team meet after practice this day? And I was like, well, I have a group project. I have to,
Yeah.
meet a group for something. Do you guys want to like push it back another time, or do you want to fill me in, or what do you want to do?
Hmm.
And she was like, well, can you tell them that you're going to be late?
Oh my goodness.
And I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, I mean, I could talk to them, whatever. I was trying to be positive because I was always made to seem as the villain.
Yeah.
So So I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'll talk to them. So was late to my group project, and they're sitting there talking about, yeah, like since we lost our coach, we also lost a couple of girls for due to injuries.
Okay.
So they were like, we need to be unified. Our team is getting smaller and smaller. Like we all just need to try to get along. And I was just like sitting there listening because that's what we should have been doing anyway. We
In
didn't
the
have
first place.
right. So I'm just sitting there listening quietly. The meeting's over and I'm like, so okay, um did you guys like cover everything? Is everything good now? Like,
Yeah.
am I free to leave?
Hmm.
Like, making sure there wasn't more that needed to be said.
Right.
And they were, oh yeah, like you're good, go on, whatever.
Okay.
I go to my group project, and then all of a sudden my parents are calling me, like
Oh God.
saying that the coach heard from the other girls that I'm being an issue and stuff like that. So I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? And so the coach called me into his office and he said, well, I heard that the girls called a meeting yesterday and they said that you weren't on the same page as them. And I was like, what?
What are you
Like,
talking
I was
about? Yeah.
so confused, saying that the girls were saying that I wasn't on the same page as them. And I was like, that's not true. Like, of course I'm on the same page as them. And I was saying, like, they don't like me. Like, we've had issues in the past.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I wasn't there. And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, you weren't there. So why are you
Why are you
attacking me?
listening? Hmm.
Yeah. And why are they not coming to me and telling me we didn't like the way you were acting in the meeting?
Yeah, because
So,
they're cowards. Right.
right. And it was so the coach was basically like, we had a whole thing. He went through a list of things I did my freshman year. Like, it's my junior year now. Like,
Yeah,
we
like come
already
on.
moved past this, but
Uh-huh.
he brought it back up. And I guess my parents called me because he told them all of those things
Right.
that I did my freshman year that I
Yeah.
didn't tell them I did.
Oh God.
But
Oh no.
yeah, I mean, and
It was
so
just all political, right? Like just trying.
yeah, like I don't know what it was. So after the meeting, he was like, well, you're probably going to be the one who has to fix this, which I was like, okay, I have to do everything. I have to always be the bigger person. I have to always be the positive person
Mhm.
or the most graceful person when somebody does something wrong to me.
Right.
So I went ahead and talked to one of the girls. I was like, why did you feel that I wasn't, on the same page as you?
Mhm.
She says, I kid you not, she says, well, you just didn't say anything, and we thought that you should have said something.
Said something about what?
Said something about what they were talking about.
Well, you were late to a group project. You were trying to get out of there.
Right. And I'm saying, like, there's no use in me saying things that
Anything.
you already said.
Right.
And well, you guys covered everything, so there was nothing for me to say. Another girl who is also a junior, she didn't say anything.
Yeah. So then what'd they say?
They were just like, well, sometimes we feel like you just distance yourself from us. And I'm like, yes, I do. Because we don't like each other. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys did what you did that one time. And I mean, I you're not my friends. Like, Anyway,
So you
then
didn't like the so did you end up not liking the tennis experience, period?
not I mean, it was cool at first, but then when it just started like just all the drama with the girls,
But
it
it's
was
good that you say this because you know all tennis teams are full of drama.
yeah.
This is so common.
It,
Like all girl
yeah,
women's, even the guys too sometimes. I mean, obviously not as much as the girls, but girls tennis teams are like
they're
always they're
toxic.
looking for a favor. Yeah, they are toxic. They're looking for favoritism and they're
Mhm,
looking to be like the coach's pet and all this.
mhm.
But like this is a new level of coach's
Right.
pet.
And that's exactly what was going on. Like instead of and I said, well, if you felt like I was acting a certain way or you felt that I was being rude or something like that, why didn't you come to me
Yeah,
and say something to me? Because what a teammate I am, if I have a problem with somebody, I'm either just gonna keep it moving or I'm gonna say something to that person so the coach doesn't have so it doesn't get to the coach and escalate.
exactly.
But
Yeah, but you're not afraid. They're afraid.
right. And so she said, well, the reason I didn't come to you is because you're very intimidating.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
like,
exactly what I'm saying.
what? But I do nothing to try to intimidate you. You're the one who's out to get me. Like, you're the one
Mhm.
whispering in his ear about how I shouldn't be on the team. How do I intimidate you?
Well, it's like a bully, you know, bullies bully because they're scared, you know,
Yeah. And
so
it's
they
not
work
even that
scared
they
of
were
you.
bullying me because I always challenge them. Like, like, why do
It's
you
not
think?
necessarily that they were like bullying you when you were being beat down. Obviously, you were fighting your battles back, but they were trying to figure out a way to bully you without
Right.
bullying you directly. They were bullying you indirectly to the coach
Exactly.
because they were
Exactly.
afraid. They were afraid. They're not gonna say all those things to your
Yeah.
face. They'd
And,
rather an older person who has more power over you say it to you, and you be more intimidated by him. You
right.
know,
And
which in
even then it was like I wasn't
yeah,
intimidated. I was just like, what is
what the
going
heck is going
on?
on? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, after that it was just downhill from there. Like it was just thing after thing. Like the coach was literally looking for anything to get
Anything,
in
yeah.
trouble for.
And I'm sure all the girls were those girls that were not on your side talking in his ear, talking in his ear.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't even necessarily have to talk in his ear because
They
obviously
did
he
it.
was on the
They
side,
had to do
their side too.
one thing and it was over with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They said one, and he was like, "Perfect, boom, I'm gonna
Right.
take it."
We're gonna
That's
take
messed
her
up.
out.
That's messed up.
So,
I don't
yeah,
even know. Like,
it's I have a
it's not
lot
even
of
fair.
stories. Like, it's a lot. It was a lot.
But I don't get like why you. Oh, what I was gonna say is, when you know before, obviously you get the scholarship and you meet with the coach, right? I mean, they know your personality. Like, it's no surprise who's coming. I mean,
I
okay,
mean,
some people fake it and they're like, yeah, you know, like I understand, I get it. But like, you know, for the most part, they know what they're gonna get, don't you think?
yeah, and I mean, I do have like different ways I act around certain people.
But that's everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like they should have been shocked about how I was. I mean, I don't know. I don't.
Do you feel like some of the like? Do you feel like anything you did any like slight little things that maybe would have pushed the you getting kicked off, or do you think you did anything at all? Like,
I
did you
mean,
snap?
I definitely did stuff in the past.
Okay.
I did, and we
But in the
talked
past,
about it.
in your like freshman year?
Yes, we
Okay.
had a conversation about it. I apologized about the wrongdoings I did, but it wasn't always just me. I will take accountability for the things I did wrong. Like I did do some things wrong, but
And
also
when you
I
did
wasn't
those
the only one.
right, right. And when you did those things wrong, when you know you made amends and you apologized, did they seem like they accepted
Yeah,
the apology truly
yeah,
and yeah?
yes. Yep. They're like,
Mm.
okay, well, let's move past it. And then, oh, here we go to like a year and a half later. Let's bring it back up.
Remember when you did
Yeah, I
that's
remember that one time. Yeah. Yeah.
no, it's like children.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know. I'm glad that you stuck through because you're right. It does prove a point. Like, yeah, you tried to kick me out, I stayed and I graduated, which is great.
Right.
But I can't like did you ever wonder about like I know you thought about transferring, but do you think maybe it would have done you better like to transfer?
Oh yeah, I definitely anytime I like tell this story or I made a podcast a couple weeks ago or not a couple weeks ago, a couple years months ago.
Hmm.
I made a podcast and I was just basically saying like don't be afraid to transfer. Like if something's not for you,
Hmm.
don't be afraid to transfer. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
it could get worse, but it also could get better. So,
You won't know unless you do it. I mean, obviously your
right.
reasons, I respect them because it's true. You did prove to not only to yourself, but to everyone else on the team and the coach and all that. But I wonder what would have happened had you transferred and gone to a good team, obviously. Not a good
Right.
team tennis wise, a good team like team wise.
Yeah, like a better bond and a
Yes,
better
exactly. Yeah, because it kind of sucks to like go you're going to college for tennis and then
right.
the people on your
Yeah.
team are like complete a-holes,
Yeah.
you know?
And it
So
wasn't even it was 3 people. And that's why I say the favoritism is like is
it's
real
real.
because it was only 3 people.
Yeah.
And it was like the rest of us, I think there was my freshman year there was 12 of us.
Oh, well.
Then my sophomore year there was like I think 12 again, but it was 3 people.
Yeah.
And one of them wasn't even in the top. The coach just liked her. I don't know.
Mm,
But it was just 3 people who had all that power to just
that's so
look
crazy to
at
change a coach's mind. I mean, obviously there had to be something else. What about the assistant coach?
No, okay, so my first assistant coach, he was very diplomatic and I had a great relationship with him. But after he left my sophomore year,
Hmm.
the new coach came and I didn't really form a bond with him.
And he was kind of teamed up with the coach, the main
Right. So I
coach,
mean, the head coach is telling him, whatever he told him about me, and I mean,
and he went along with it. He didn't fight or
I don't
nothing.
think he went along with it, but it was like he was new, he didn't know me, so
Yeah, he didn't want to kind of butt in.
right,
And what about
yeah.
like the athletic trainers? Like, did anyone like staff
Athletic trainers
wise?
themselves told me that he had something against me. They told me to my face, like
Mm,
there was an instance where I had to go to treatment because I kept getting really bad shin splints
mm-hmm.
because they were making us run on hard court.
Yeah,
They were making us do conditioning on hard court.
of course.
So I got really bad shin splints, and the coach had made a rule where treatment was mandatory.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to treatment 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. The trainer said, okay, we're gonna have optional treatment on the weekends.
Okay.
So I had stuff to do on the weekends, so I couldn't go. I get a call from him saying that I was suspended for 2 days from practice for missing treatment.
But
And
did you say what they said it was optional?
yeah, I told him, and I told the trainer to tell him it's optional. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I told him. I did tell him."
Yeah. And
And listen, two other girls texted me like, "Did you get suspended from practice for not going to weekend treatment?" I was like, "Yeah." And they were like, "Yeah, he suspended us for 1 day." I got 2 days.
what the heck?
I got 2 days for missing the same amount. We all missed Saturday, Sunday. They only got 1 day. I got 2 days.
He did
And they
not
were
like
more
you,
injured
girl.
than I was.
He did not like you.
He didn't. And the trainer told me. The
Yeah.
trainer was like, yeah, the coach came and was like, is Balia coming to treatment? And he was like, yeah. And it was actually another girl who wasn't doing the treatment, like wasn't taking the treatment seriously. And he kept asking about me.
They're just so like power struck. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they think, oh, I'm the head coach of a college girls tennis team. I'm, I'm the president. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
relax. And
Right.
tennis is
Like,
only one part of the college. You know, like you're there
right.
to graduate and continue your life afterwards.
Yeah.
Relax.
No, for real.
And has he contacted you ever since or anything? Nothing.
I think after he dismissed me from the team, he texted me about somebody being interested in me, but I didn't respond.
Yeah, don't respond.
Like, and then he tried to send another text like, oh, okay, I'll just leave you alone, like trying to be passive aggressive. So I told compliance, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want him contacting me, like
Yeah.
kicked me off the team, and the contact. Like, don't
Yeah, that's
don't
it.
contact me.
And your parents, what'd they say?
My parents were like, well, we saw this coming because when he called them, my mom was saying she had a feeling like it might happen because like he kept calling my parents over little things. Like
He was
every
just
time,
trying to make like a
right,
portfolio,
he's trying
probably.
to tell them like I need your help to
Yeah.
control her because she's so out of control.
Uh-huh.
They like he was pleading, he was building up his case. And
Uh-huh.
actually one time where he told my dad, I asked my coach to hit with me over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But during the summer, like I said, I was very sick. I kept getting viral infections, like basically like a mini coronavirus. I felt like
Basically,
what
uh-huh.
we describe as the coronavirus now, it
Yeah.
was kind of like that.
Yeah.
So I kept getting those, and I would come try to play, but my head would be pounding, like I'd be out of breath, like
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So he told my dad that I was so out of shape that I couldn't hit with him for a certain amount of time. But I was like, no, that's not true because I have a text from him saying, he texted me saying, thank you for, being committed to getting better, even though you're sick. So I showed my mom the text. I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah. And did your parents kind of like second guess like what you were saying and what he would, because obviously, your parents are gonna go with what an elder says, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So they were like,
They didn't know
they
probably.
understood me, but they were also like, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like
When you got kicked off
I
the
even
team, were they
told them,
upset?
they weren't upset with me
Yeah.
really, but they were like, that's the world. Like that's what happens. Like if
Yeah.
somebody, in power just, doesn't like you, if you give them just a little reason to not like you, they're
They'll
gonna
take
run with
it.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
What happened?
actually he made new rules
Yeah.
just to say that I violated these rules. Like the
What
beginning of
is this
my junior
drama?
year, he made he made a list of rules of things I did a long time ago.
So you broke them technically.
Yeah, a long time ago though.
Right.
And then when I talked to compliance, I explained to them what happened, and they were like, "Okay,
What else happened if you don't mind? Just so we can.
okay." So one instance, we now I'm not making any excuses for myself, but
Mm-hmm.
we always traveled like really late in the day. So we
Mm-hmm.
would come practice at night. We have to get up to go to the match. So I, was watching this girl play. I was watching her, cheering for her, whatever. And I fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
So I fell asleep like watching her. So he came up to me and like, was mad because I fell asleep. And I was like, I understand why you're mad, but he was trying to make it seem like I was acting disinterested the whole time, which
Uh-huh.
I know for a fact I wasn't. I was definitely cheering for her, but I did fall asleep. So I was telling him, like, I understand why you're upset. I apologize, whatever. We moved past that. He was saying, so one of the rules I broke was I wasn't being supportive of my teammates. And he told them,
It's so
which is
annoying.
not true. And my teammates were not supportive of me.
Right.
So then another rule was like being rude to recruits or telling or like speaking negatively about the university. So what happened was there was this girl, she's Black. She was looking at coming to Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was talking to them and she wanted to, come visit. Then all of a sudden she stopped talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then she committed somewhere else.
Okay.
Then the coach was asking her dad, like, why did you stop talking to us? Like, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
And the dad said, well, we heard it was racist there.
Oh my God, they must have
And
hated you so bad after that.
mind you, I've never spoken to this girl before.
Oh,
I've
so you
never
had
had,
nothing to do with the girl.
right. I didn't even, I knew of the girl. She followed me on Instagram. We had
Uh-huh.
one mutual friend.
Uh-huh.
But I never said anything negatively. I never said like, oh, it's racist here. Like, because
Nothing
at
like that.
that time I was having a good time. Like I
Uh-huh.
loved it there. There was nothing that as far as I saw was racist.
Yeah.
So they brought me into the office and told me that. And they were like, well, do you feel like it's racist here? And I'm like, well, I mean, it's racist everywhere, but I have not experienced racism here yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, okay. But then he brought that to the compliance to justify him kicking me off the team. I was like, I've never even spoken to that
But
girl.
do you see why I said, did you feel like it was racial? Because look.
I mean, yeah, and it was a little racial, but I couldn't prove it. So I like,
Right.
yeah, I mean,
they would never do anything to jeopardize their own job.
right. It wasn't like they were calling me the N-word and stuff. It was just like little microaggressions.
There are like Black students there that had anything similar to you in other sports or like in academics in general?
Yeah, like I know the track team, one of the coaches called them the N-word.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like trying to be friendly with them. But
Oh, thinking they were like kind of
yeah,
buddy. God.
yeah. And then there's like, it wasn't like blatant. It wasn't
Yeah. Yeah,
too,
because remember, it's all political there. They don't want to lose their
right,
job.
right. It's like polite racism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if that's even a thing.
yeah. It's a thing.
Yeah. Did you have many offers? Because I remember when you were, I don't know. How old are you now?
I'm 22.
Oh, so you're the same age as me.
Yeah,
Because I remember you as a junior.
yeah.
So, but I'm sure you got many different offers. Why'd you choose Nebraska?
I didn't do enough research on other schools. Basically, like I didn't do enough looking.
But
Like I
what
didn't
drew
shop
you to
around.
Nebraska?
Just like they were so interested in me. Like they were so interested in me. Like I thought
You
that
felt like it was promising.
yeah, like I thought I could really grow there and, be a good player there and, be loved and respected. And yeah, I
Man,
mean,
that's why you got to research because you don't know.
yeah, and
And you have to
I
reach out
should
to
have
other
looked around
players.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, looked around more and like for sure you got to talk to the team. Obviously, look, the coach is going to tell the team, please put in a good word for us. Who isn't going to tell them that? But you should reach out. Maybe one of them will be like, hey, P.S., don't come here. Don't come here because it's messed up.
Well, no, because somebody might snitch on them and say, "Oh, well, your player said this," and now
That's
that
true.
person's in trouble.
Damn, you
So
got
yeah,
stuck over there.
yeah, I definitely should have looked around more. I was just excited to just pick a school.
Yeah, to
And
commit,
I
and then you're
also,
good.
yeah, they were also giving me like a great scholarship opportunity. So I thought that was best for me.
And do you regret, like, okay, after completing school and graduating with your major and all that, do you regret going there still, or do you think your academics kind of evened it out or made it a little bit better?
Um, I don't really regret anything. I just learned an important lesson of not just jumping at the first thing,
Mm-hmm.
but looking around and doing more in-depth research because I didn't want to commit late.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there's nothing wrong with committing late. There's nothing wrong with and take all 5 of your trips, please. Please take all 5 of those trips. If you're about to go to college, take all 5 of them.
Yeah. Did you take a trip there?
Yeah,
You're
I did.
official? Oh
Yeah,
my
it was,
God,
and
you
I
poor
loved
thing.
it.
I feel
I
so
love.
bad for you. Anything else?
Um, I mean, there's a lot, but we don't have time for it.
Okay. All right. Well,
There's a
thank you so
lot,
much.
but yeah.
For now, maybe in another
Yeah, for
episode,
now
part
we gotta do
two.
a part 2.
Okay, we will. But thank
Uh,
you so much. I really appreciate
yeah,
it.
yeah,
All
it was
right,
fun.
we'll talk soon.
Okay,
All right,
bye.
bye bye.